Hey, manufacturing world, welcome to another episode of Shop Matters, sponsored by Okuma America. I'm your host today, Wade Anderson, and joining me in the studio today, I've got Mike Hampton with Okuma and Brandon Glenn with Okuma. So I appreciate you guys joining me here in the studio today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So we've had a lot of changes take place at Okuma over the last little bit, and I thought it'd be a good time to just kind of communicate to our audience on some of the personnel changes and role changes and things like that. And really, most importantly, is how will that benefit them in the future? You know, to me, I think anytime you make moves, at the end of the day, just we talk about partners and working with products. If we're trying to solve problems, we're doing it with that end user in mind. I think making role changes inside the company, there's benefit that goes down to our customer base as well. So I'd like to just kind of explore that a little bit today and talk about your new roles. So Mike, if you don't mind, I'll start with you and talk about your position and kind of how that came about.
Yeah, absolutely. So my title is Business Development Manager. Previously, it was Business Development Specialist, and
I think Brandon's got a different title that he uses for you, but no, just kidding.
Well, I'm sure his isn't so professional, but yeah, all in good fun. So when it was Business Development Specialist, I actually rolled up to our customer service department. Okay. So that's when I reported to Ira Bussman, the VP of Customer Service. In the past 2 years, I now am part of the sales department. I'm still extremely focused on growing our service parts and exchange revenue divisions. And better serving our customers in those areas. Mm-hmm. But as of April 1st, I'm now managing our partners and also our tech centers. And, you know, we're extremely focused on growing. And when I say growing, it's growing our offerings. It's increasing our customer service abilities. And to do that, the machine tool is only one component of the overall solution, right?
Right.
So when you buy a machine tool, you still need work holding. You need tooling. You need CAD/CAM software. You need productivity components. And that's where managing our partners can really help make sure that we're supplying our customers with everything that they need to be able to turn that machine on, make the part that they need to supply their end users with, and create customer satisfaction, because we want that machine tool to run forever as well. So.
Yeah. Jeff Estes, who used to be over the partner side of the company, used to use a great line where he would talk about the Okuma machine. We never touch the part. And if we do touch the part, it's a really, really bad day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the premises behind our partners program and what energizes me to be in the position I'm in now is that we're focused on really all the same things that anybody in manufacturing is focused on. It's increasing profitability of that machine tool. It's increasing productivity. We're obviously focused on consistency. We want the first part to be the same as 1,000. We want to reduce downtime. We want the green light to always be on, right? Yeah. And like I mentioned, the machine tool is one part of that, and it takes an army to come up with that ultimate solution to check all of those boxes, and that's where our 45+ partners come into play, and we have great relationships with all of them, and it really puts us in a very competitive position against other machine tool manufacturers, and I think it's a very unique program, so it's exciting.
So tell me a little bit about the rebranding side of it. So people who've been familiar with Okuma for a long time probably knows the Partners program, and it started out under Larry Schwartz and Jeff Estes as the Partners in Think. Talk a little bit about where the Think name came from, and then the rebranding that under your leadership, how that's being changed.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to hit on. So Partners in Think goes all the way back to 2007. That's when it was a thought, a vision, and that's when it came to life. And the partners that were initially a part of the program were strictly focused on the API of the machine tool, also known as the Think API, most of them anyways. And that's why it became the Partners in Think. Since then, we have many partners that really don't necessarily have anything to do with the API on the machine itself, whether it's tooling, work holding. So with that said, we're going to rebrand the program to Partners in Technology. All of our partners can relate to new technology coming down the pipeline. They're all coming up with new products. They're constantly evolving. So I think that new name is a great fit. And the premise of what our partners do, how they work together with Okuma members, distributors, and end users, that's really going to stay the same. We're still going to do all of the things we have. We're just going to try to increase engagement in every single way, so that we can make sure that we satisfy our customers as best as we possibly can.
Nice. I might be remiss if I don't try to explain a little bit on when you mentioned API. For anybody who doesn't know what an API is, can you kind of explain that a little bit? Brandon, you got it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
You don't know.
Okay, so when I say API, and correct me if I misstate this, but API is an acronym for Application Programming Interface. So initially, our partners were focused on the control side. The OSP control is very unique, and it's an open architecture control. So there were a lot of partner companies that could come in and figure out how to interface with that control to bring new technology to the marketplace. Since then, our partner base has really expanded.
Yeah. So one way I like to describe APIs for people like me, I'm a mechanical guy. I'm not a digital guy. It takes me a long time to kind of learn that side of it, where I'm more of a nut and bolt mechanical guy. An API, for those who are trying to wrap their brain around it, I think about it like this TV screen. So this TV is plugged into an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
That outlet's got to have power going to it. So if that's tied to a switch, you flip that switch, you have wire, you have power going through a channel, through a conduit. And that power, that conduit, is the communication channel to send power to that socket that is powering up a separate device. So our machine tools are very much the same way. We can tie in a lot of peripheral devices, whether it's a LNS or an edge bar feeder or a FANUC robot, things like that. And they need a communication channel to go from their side, their screen, if you will, to ours. So that communication channel, that's that application program interface, that API. And every control out there has an API. The OSP control, we have an open library. So we don't have a closed library. You don't have to pay for each individual API you're trying to use. If you're trying to develop something, we got a whole open library, and we can give that to you and say, here, let your imagination run wild and do something that's going to really make a difference in your product and what you do. So Brandon, let's enter Brandon Glenn here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background, and what your excuse me, as I'm getting choked, your new role is here within the company.
Yeah, sure thing. I love Okuma. I love manufacturing, and I've been here about 12 years now. My background was in mechanical engineering. I spent about 10 years at one of the best motorsports shops in the world, Hendrick Motorsports, working in the engine shop. So that was like an engineer's playground, really.
If you're into racing, that's got to be like a dream job, right?
I mean, it really is. But man, if you're into manufacturing, it's a dream too. Because even if you don't love motorsports, but you can appreciate what they do from a manufacturing standpoint, the quality of the parts they make, the caliber of the work they do, the cleanliness of the facility, all those things that just make manufacturing, I don't know, appeal to the nerds like us that really have a love and a passion for it. But came to Okuma in a sales role because I really wanted to bridge that technical skill set with my passion for working with people. I find that dealing with human beings and understanding what's going on in their shop and their challenges and trying to provide solutions, that's a lot more fun than working with an inanimate object on a computer screen. And that's really what we try to do as a sales team. So currently I'm director of sales. And I help support our sales team and our product specialist group, really just to be champions for the Okuma brand and the Okuma culture, I would say. Also, we want to be advocates for that across North America. And in the process of trying to support our distributors and telling people about Okuma products, telling people about who Okuma is as an organization, but we really just want to bring solutions to the American manufacturing community. We all believe that manufacturing is sort of the backbone of our country, of our economy, of our defense systems. And so when we bring manufacturing solutions to the table and we can help people make things better, faster, then we're really just helping on a much broader scale than just one machine in one shop. You know, we're supporting the American infrastructure as a whole.
Yeah. I think we go to market. I think Okuma has a very unique way to go to market. We use a distribution channel. So there might be people out there in the audience who have interface with Arizona CNC, Gossiger, Hartwig, Morris, those type of companies, and they may not realize Okuma's got a sales team and a sales infrastructure. Talk through for an end user, how does that work? You know, when would they see an Okuma person versus a distributor person versus a product specialist, things like that?
Yeah, I love that question because I do think that's something in the industry that is sort of ambiguous to a lot of folks. But I'll try to clarify that because our distributor partners are really our right arm, and they have been for going on 43 years now. And that's not going to change anytime soon if it's up to me. And so the reason we have partnered so strongly with distributors is because we believe from the bottom of our hearts that sales, service, and engineering support should really be local to the customer base. That means we want to have brick and mortar in these different local areas. We want to have service and support people that are local. We want our customers to have the service technician's cell phone number and have him live 20 minutes down the road. That's a much better strategy than us deploying somebody out of Charlotte on an airplane every time somebody needs something. So that's the reason our distributor partners exist, and that's the value that they bring to our customer bases because of those local relationships and the faster response time that's associated with that. And when I talk about distributor partners, it's not like we have had a revolving door of distributor partners. We've really had these long-standing relationships, and I'll just highlight a few: Gossiger, the Gossiger organization, the Hartwig organization, and the Morris Group. Those are all third-generation family-owned companies. The Morris Group, I think, is the longest-standing distributor partner at 43 years this year, and Gossiger and Hartwig are right behind them. So I don't know that there's a stronger distributor team anywhere in the country, maybe anywhere in the world, to be honest. And when you've got the organizations like that are the real deal and that have been in manufacturing for, I mean, Gossiger's over 100 years old as an organization, right? So they've been, we talk about proponents for American manufacturing, they've been doing it a long, long time, and they know how to do it well. So we're thankful and we're grateful for those distributor partners because that's where the local value is created. At the same time, Okuma America has these support groups, and I encourage people to think of it in terms of tiers of support. Your local distributor, they get all the factory training they need in the areas of sales, service, and engineering, and they can take care of 99% of whatever you might need there locally. That's great. But what if they encounter an engineering challenge and they really need another set of eyes on it? Maybe there's a service situation where they really like to escalate it up to the OEM. That's where Okuma America comes in, and they ratchet things up to us, and we've got people and departments that are geared specifically towards helping them in those escalation scenarios. Similarly, we can escalate things up through Okuma Europe and Okuma Japan. So the picture I try to paint to people is think of it in terms of tiers of support. And we think that's a good solution for the American customer base.
Yeah, that's great. I can give a quick example of a project I worked on over the last couple of weeks where kind of going through that tier of support. A cell was sold to aerospace shops using an automation piece from Aroa, one of our partnering companies that we work closely with. And they're using a special, basically an adapter plate. So you have a piece of work holding that sits on the table that large pallets would go into, and then they can put an adapter on and then be able to couple up small work holding pieces. And what we found when the order came in, most all of it was handled just between the distributor, local distributor sales guy, and the customer. And then the order comes in, and we start going through it, looking at it. And as we start looking at the interface that's required, we realize, wait a minute, the signals, the amount of commands they need for all this different stack up of work holding, our normal interface can't handle that. You know, we got a 2-channel interface that was sold with the machine. But in this case, they need 4, maybe 6 to actually operate all the different pieces of work holding. So that's where sales guy, our internal sales guy got involved, got our engineers involved. We got Japan involved to say, hey, do you have experience with this that we just haven't seen before? And then through that came up with a solution that's needed and then presented that back to the local distributor sales guy. That order at the street level, nobody saw all the background work, that went into it to make sure all the ducks were in a row, so to speak, on it. And they actually caught a problem that we were able to sort out ahead of time.
Yeah,
so
great example. And we want all that to be sort of behind the curtain to our customers. They shouldn't have to worry about who's talking to who or how we're figuring this out. Just know that we're going to figure it out. And we've got a lot of resources to help us in that process.
Which I think is where the Partners in Technology comes into play. It was their engineers talking direct with our engineers to make sure everything was sorted out and we get the right solution to the customer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, solutions are found through collaboration, right? So the fact that we have a program in place with all of our industry-leading partners that support our end users, we have great relationships with them, and we're very transparent with one another, being us and our partners. It gives us a step up on other machine tool manufacturers. And Brandon, you mentioned one thing that really resonated with me, that you love working with people and you love helping people, end users, find solutions. And, that's a consistent message that our partners carry as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important.
Yep. We just had a recent conversation with Larry Robbins here in the podcast booth, and you talk about a people person, right? There's so many of our partner guys that they just elude that, that charisma about them. So.
Oh, I agree. I mean, speaking of Larry from SMW Auto Block, when we were doing a podcast with him previously, he gave his personal cell phone out to everybody that's listening. So that's the type of support that our partners are willing to provide our customers.
Right.
So that's definitely something that sets us at a different level.
At the end of the call, I'm going to give Mike Hampton's number out to everybody. No, just kidding.
Feel free to.
Yeah. You're pretty easy to find, right?
I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is easy to find, yeah. And very responsive. I called him, I don't know, late after hours last night and said, Mike, I'm going to send you an email. I need something. He's like, no problem. So that's what we've come to expect, right or wrong.
That's right.
So another part of your role that you mentioned that I haven't circled back to yet, but our product specialist group, PSGs, are internally, we use a lot of acronyms. PSGs, our product specialist group. Talk about that group and really what they do and the strength that they bring in to support the sales guys.
Yeah. One thing I love about Okuma is that we're a pro sales organization, and another way to say pro sales would be pro customer. We're in favor, and we endorse ways to bring solutions to the customer. And so the product specialist group would be one of those. And think about it in terms of ends of the spectrum, okay? You got the sales group over here, and we could stereotype salespeople and how they think and how they operate. And then over here, you got the engineering group, and we can stereotype engineers and how they think and how they operate. And
polar opposites
the spectrum,
a lot of times.
There's a big chasm there in between. And the product specialist group, I think, is a bridge in between that gap. These are individuals who are specialists in an individual product. So we have a lathe product specialist. His name is David Fisher. A machining center product specialist, Errol Burrell. Grinder product specialist, Rob Titus. And then our big machines, our double column machining centers, our product specialist is Tom O'Toole. Also part of that group is our technical document expert, Steven Schweninger, who's a diamond in the rough. He's amazing. But those gentlemen exist to bridge that gap between engineering and sales. And that's a two-way street. I think sometimes they help take sales topics and sales challenges to the engineering group. And likewise, they take highly technical engineering topics and explain those to the salespeople. But really, they're just another division of our sales team. They're a customer-facing department of Okuma, where we want to talk about the Okuma products and be able to explain those in a helpful way, provide solutions to our customer base, articulate the Okuma culture, which is really the thing that we all wake up and move forward with every day. That's who we are as people and as an organization. So the product specialist group to me serves as that bridge, but they're pro-customer, pro-solution, pro-creative thinking, out of the box, whatever you want to call it. But we're all about, just meaningful solutions, really.
Yeah. I think it's such an interesting group because, as you described it, you've got two camps of individuals. And then if you look at the product specialists, they're all application engineers in their background at one form or another. And then so you've got people that are engineers to their core, but they have the personality to do public speaking, to talk to sales guys, and really be that go-between. And that's a rare trait to find in people that can handle both sides of that spectrum.
Yeah, we're very blessed with people in all of those different product categories that have those dual skill sets, we'll say.
Yeah, I think it's a great group to have. And one other thing to add, you really described who they are and what they do, but they also, I just want to add that they work closely with our partners as well. So when they go to our distributors and they present to end users, they work hand in hand with these 45 plus industry leading partners to train on those topics as well. So it's a great group.
Yeah, and think about if I was a manufacturing shop, if I was looking at buying a machine tool, and you could partner with anybody under the sun. You could buy any machine tool builder on planet Earth. But really, those intangible things a lot of times are what separate who you want to go with and maybe who you don't want to work with so much. I don't envy our customers in the sense that if they need a manufacturing solution, like you said, I've got to find a machine tool. I've got to understand the distribution and the representation of that machine tool locally. But oh my gosh, I also need things like CAD CAM, coolant, gauging, work holding. The list goes on and on. And oh, by the way, I've got a shop to run every day. So how on earth am I going to go find all these things and chase people down and chase vendors down all over the country, trying to come up with this manufacturing solution that might encompass 30 or 40 different components to it, different vendors, different variables. We want to be easy to do business with. We want to be the easy solutions provider. So when you think about our distributor partners being second to none, when you think about technical resources like the product specialist group who help understand a problem, digest it, and then bring solutions to the table. When you think about the 15, 16-year history of this Partners in Technology group, and Okuma's sitting here saying, we don't make all these different components, so CAD, CAM, gauging, cooling, all these things, but boy, we sure know people that do, and they're people that we know and that we've trusted for decades. And so we want to bring all that to you on a silver platter as much as possible and let you keep running your shop, Mr. Customer, and making what you need to make day in and day out. This whole learning curve that you're on of procuring a machine tool solution, let us make that curve a little bit shallower and let us use our partner and our people to do some of that legwork for you.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. I'm going to give a little shameless plug to an event that I know both of you guys are heavily involved in. That's kind of a touring event. It's the MVP event that Errol and Dave worked on together to pull all the pieces of the puzzle together to show high-level technology on 5-axis machines, both our milling machines and then our multifunction machines. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of what the premise is and how collectively between basically your group and your group, all this come about, and to teach both distributors and our customers what can be done?
Yeah, great case study in how we're trying to bring solutions to the marketplace, because some machine shops, I was just in one not so long ago, that didn't really maintain distributor relations for the last 10 years, didn't really have any outside connections. They just lived in the four walls of their shop. Well, they're really frozen in time in a lot of ways. And so learning events like what you just described are really critical for people to get outside of their own shop and expand their field of view as to what's possible. You don't just keep doing things the same way you've always done it. And so this MVP event that you just described is one of those things where we're trying to maybe open people's eyes or share some new information about the possibilities that are out there for them. I would tell this story by going back about 5 to 7 years. Most general contract manufacturing machine shops would have a whole host of lathes, 2-axis lathes, and a whole department of 3-axis vertical machining centers. And on the machining center, let's say they were happy to take this prismatic part and do op 10 in this machine, move it here, do op 20 in another machine, and you just move it down the line. That's the way we did it forever because it's really the only option we had. So 7 years ago, let's say, if you went up to that customer and said, hey, have you ever thought about a 5-axis machine? You know, you can grip it once, you can machine 5 sides. 7 years ago, a customer would say, I'm good with a 3-axis. You know, maybe I'll put a rotary table on it later. Well, today we've got those same people knocking on our door saying, hey, do you have any 5-axis machines? So I would say that the manufacturing mindset is starting to change, where multifunction machining and multitasking machining is not so taboo and it's not so scary, neither from a machine size and complexity standpoint or from a price standpoint. I mean, you're the automation guy these days, and simple automation where the complexity is low and the cost is low, that's sort of the direction that we're all headed. And it's the same way with multifunction machining. So MVP, contrary to popular belief, in this case, it actually stands for most versatile products. And we take our two mainstay multitasking machines like the Multus B250. That's a horizontal twin spindle lathe with a true milling spindle up above. Multus B250. Sit that right beside a Genos M460V 5AX. That's our 5-axis machining center with an integrated Okuma trunnion. And we are just trying to do simple demonstrations around the country of saying, hey, look how you can do more with less. Look how you can take your 3 vertical machining centers and do all that same work faster in one machine. And in doing so, now we're saving you monetary investment. We're saving you floor space. So I think multitasking is a direction that the industry as a whole is headed. We've been doing it for decades, but we're in a great position now to make that technology available to the general marketplace, I would say, not to the high-end customer base, not to the specialized machine shops, really to the general marketplace. But again, the machine's just one piece of the solution. So this MVP event entails a lot more than just machines.
Yeah, it does. So for the most versatile product on these 2 models that Brandon just mentioned, obviously the machine tool and Okuma can't do it solely. So we brought in valued partners like Mastercam, SMW Autoblock, Renishaw, and some more, and they're all traveling as a team of people to our distributors to perform this training for end users. So it's a collective effort, and I think, you know, the more the merrier. These partners, they add strength to the ultimate solution, and it's great that they want to get involved and engage with our distributors and end users as well.
Absolutely. And I would challenge customers out there, if you see that event, you know, it's coming to a distributor near you, one, obviously attend, go to it, but also bring some examples of your parts so these guys can show you what they are doing as examples, but then can talk about your real world, actual day-to-day operations and show how they can use that same philosophy to basically attack the type of solutions or opportunities that you have. So
yeah, we're happy to look at customer specific parts because again, I talk about people in machine shops sort of living inside of the 4 walls of their shop, and that's great. I mean, that's where you make your money, so more power to you. Okuma's distributor partners and Okuma people themselves, we get the privilege of going in. I probably go in hundreds of shops every year myself. You probably go in hundreds. So yep. Collectively, if Okuma's got an army of, 70 or 80 people in the field every week, if you count service as well, we go in thousands of machine shops every year. So that means we get to see a lot of great ways of doing things. We get to see a lot of bad ways of doing things. We get to understand best practices, or, you know, we might even see the same part being made in 5 different shops. So we see the same part being made 5 different ways. But we're always filtering that information to say, hey, what am I learning here through what I'm seeing? Because when a customer brings us a part and says, hey, how do I make this better? Or I've got this one particular challenge, how do I overcome it? Think about the knowledge base from our team that's out in the field every week. Like, we're ready to sink our teeth into that challenge and try to help you with a solution that's going to make you better than your competitor.
Right. I don't think I could articulate that any better. So I think on that note, let's wrap this conversation up. And thank you guys again, both for joining me here today. To learn more about Okuma, what's the best way customers can find out more about Okuma and our partners program?
I'm going to say social media.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. And we've done a couple things lately where I've underestimated the power of social media, and what I see and feel in response to some social things we do. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I would always check there first and foremost.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I would say just our website, www.okuma.com, and for partners specifically, it's www.okuma.com/partners. So pretty simple.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys. And thank you for joining us. If you have thoughts, comments on future episodes or topics you'd like to have discussed, please reach out to us. Let us know. And until next time, we'll see you then.